Here's the show that loves to talk about gadgets and gizmos, from A-Logic to Yamaha, cameras to control panels. You get what I mean. We love talking all things techie. In fact, that's the name of the show. And here is your host, Justin Dawson.
Hello, hello, hello. I actually quite like this new music bed and new branding. It's the All Things Techie podcast, and wearing a lot of Avixa swag. I'm Justin Dawson. I thought I would just wear the Avixa swag just to highlight how much Avixa swag that I got at ISE. Hat, t-shirts. There's a bag over there somewhere. I wonder who gave me all this gear. I can't mention. I can't give away my disclosures. That's an NDA right there. But I thought I'd just highlight the Avixa swag that I got at ISE that other people didn't get. Hello, it's Justin Dawson. I might take off the hat. Oh, yes, and hat hair. Because that's going to just make me feel too hot. How's everyone doing? Welcome to episode 68 of the All Things Techie podcast. If you'd like to get in contact with the program, you can do so by tweeting me directly at Justin or Dawson. Tweet the show at AV Tech Junkies, and we really appreciate if you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch the visual of this podcast on YouTube as well. That's how we do it. I'm feeling so much better. Oh my God, I have recovered from ISE and all the throat infections and everything that was going on, and I feel a bit more energetic, but my heart is broken, listeners, from hearing about all the tech cuts that are going on globally. And of course, Ireland, as you should be aware, is a tech giant in itself. And I know a lot of people that have, let's start off with, we just come back from Integrated Systems Europe in Barcelona. And then you hear about more tech cuts, especially Zoom globally losing a lot of staff. And of course, I know a couple of people that have been laid off in Zoom as of recently. If you are one of those members of staff and really are struggling, please reach out to the All Things Techie podcast, because we do a segment called Under the Spotlight, where I talk to people that work in tech and audiovisual, how they got involved in the tech and audiovisual sector. And hopefully that might help people realize who you are about. So reach out, get in touch with the program. Love to speak with you if you are on the lookout for a new job after the loss of your job. Tech layoffs: Google, Meta, Twitter, Microsoft, Intel, SAP, IBM, Dell, Salesforce. There's been a lot lately. It's been a bad few months for the tech sector after escaping the worst of the macroeconomic downturn that hit most of the business world in the wake of COVID-19. The inevitable finally caught up with tech, and the job losses began. There have been warning signs as the COVID boom wore off. It became more apparent that things were going down a little airy. Hiring freezes being implemented, job applicants who are at the run of the gauntlet with the tech recruitment process, only to have expected to offer fail to materialize or be rescinded at the last minute. Talk of performance improvement plans being implemented at tech companies. All the signals that firms were weighing off some tough decisions. Like, part of me just goes, wow, we're just after doing a massive tech event, audiovisual event in Barcelona with over 40,000 people. And then we hear about more layoffs. It's disheartening. It really is. And I really hope that people will get jobs. But Simon Coveney, our government, and Simon Coveney said that he thinks the worst has gone now. It's going to improve, and talked about tech sectors like Apple recruiting people into the new year. I don't know. It's a sad sign that people have been let off in Zoom, especially after, like, I did talks with on stage at Keynote Speaks with Jane Ross. Did all these tech companies hire too many people during the the lockdowns, and now it's just balancing the figures now in tech companies. I don't know. It's a sad sign, and I hope please do reach out to us. Well, moving on from that, on a more positive note, we're going to try and start doing weekly episodes of the All Things Techie podcast. So many lined up after ISE, and so there's going to be some shows like Under the Spotlight, where we're going to talk to people that have been involved in the AV industry and tech industry for quite a while, and then we're going to catch up with the guys that cycled to Barcelona. I never caught up with them. The hashtag We Make Events crew, and a lot of them from Creative Technologies and CT Group and other AV companies that got together and cycled across to Barcelona. How? I just want to know how. I didn't get a chance to meet up with them, but we're going to be doing a show with the We Make Events team, all done for charity. I think that is the most important thing. I think that we're nearly up to €40,000, if not more, that's been raised. And I think the fundraiser is still open, and we'll put it in the podcast show notes as well. We're also going to be talking to Sony during the week. It's quite funny, actually. Sony gave me some NDAs of what's coming out, and then with my schedule at ISE, I never got over to the Sony booth to do the video recording. So I am actually going to be meeting and discussing the new Sony products that's been unveiled at ISE with Kevin Donnelly, who we've had previously on the All Things Techie podcast. So Kevin, being an Irish guy as well, is going to guide me through things as well. That would have been funny if I recorded that over in ISE as well, where two Irish guys get together and talk tech and talk audiovisual. We did that also with Display Note. Yeah, you can the most important thing, listeners, is some of the podcasts weren't made episodes. So on our YouTube page, and also on the All Things Techie website, and also on my personal website, justinordawson.com, there's going to be an ISE page, and you can also go to the playlists where I did interviews with different vendors. So have a look at that as well. Mike Blackman was interviewed and said that 2024 it's going to be even bigger with ISE, especially the fact that it's a year away, and they did 2 ISEs in the space of 6 months. And yeah, there were some problems with people getting through the doors and being barcoded into the Fira on Tuesday, and also the taxi problems on Tuesday afternoon. But all that's going to be fixed. Like, he has a great team behind him, and I have to applaud like the team that put Integrated Systems Europe together. What a team, and to do it in 6 months was absolutely phenomenal. Some new audio rooms and demo rooms that's going to be moved into a different hall. Content production was just phenomenal with the immersive studios that's going on between Canon and LG, and wow, all I can say is wow. And then of course we had Disguise as well, that you can watch back on our YouTube channel, that did some immersive content production, which just blew my mind. I think that there's going to be 2 more halls added in 2024, so stay tuned for that. That's not an exclusive. That's Mike Blackman was talking about that during the week. Now, so much tech has happened in the past week in Ireland. We have had more problems with hacking in Ireland, and especially in universities. Stolen data made available on the dark web, says Munster Technological University. Munster Tech University has confirmed that data from its systems has been made available on the dark web following last week's cyber attack. Munster Tech had to even close its doors for about 2 or 3 days. No lectures taking place while they tried to figure out what was going on. In a statement this evening, MTU management said it is not possible yet to establish the nature of the data affected or who has been affected, but it has confirmation from the technical advisors and members of the National Cybersecurity Centre that certain data had been accessed and copied from MTU systems during the course of last weekend's ransomware incident and made available on the dark web. However, MTU says its campuses are now due to reopen tomorrow following a week closure in the wake of the cyber attack, with classes scheduled to operate in line with existing timetables. The Irish Data Protection Commission has been notified of the development regarding the data being made available on the dark web, according to MTU. The university's forensic experts are continuing to investigate the incident and will be reviewing the nature of the data compromised. While it is not possible at this early stage to fully ascertain the exact nature of all the data, including personal data affected or the identity of all persons affected by this release, we have already commenced the process of notifying those potentially affected in the development of this development, MTU said in a statement. It added that anyone potentially affected by the incident should follow the advice of the National Cyber Security Centre. MTU secured an interim injunction from the High Court on Friday night to prevent the sale, publication, sharing, possession, or any use of any illegally obtained data from the MTU systems in the course of the ransomware incident. I found this really, really strange, listeners, that you had to go to the High Courts to prevent the sale, publication, possession, or any use of illegally obtained data from MTU systems. It was stolen in the first place. Really? Do you have to get an injunction? Wow. I'm not a solicitor. I don't understand the legal process, but my thought is they hacked it. It's stolen. It's stolen data. Do you actually have to get an injunction? Who knows? Okay, but I feel sorry for MTU being hacked. It seems like that's a couple of incidents now with different universities across Ireland. I know the university I work in, and of course all the universities in Ireland, are very proactive in the security and teaching academic staff and all staff in universities about the importance of cybersecurity. Some people will think it's over the top, but it seems that like it's maybe an easy target, especially a lot of public sector ones where you might think like our health system got hacked just over a year ago and ransomware. And that's down to, I think, bad servers, bad security, old software being used on a lot of devices that weren't upgraded. Now, universities, yeah, usually they would have up-to-date software. So the question is, how do they get in? I don't know. I'm not a hacker. But I think it's the important thing is for staff at universities to keep on being trained up. And I know that our university is very active in that as well. But well, you know, a lot of data, you know, you have a lot of courses, you have a lot of financial information and data. But Munster Tech just finished by saying, we wish to reassure our students, staff and other persons potentially affected by this update that we're deploying all available resources with the support of our external forensic advisors and the National Cyber Security Centre in the investigation and mitigation on this matter. Really hope that they can put things right at Munster Tech in the not so distant future. This is a fascinating one that I was even talking to Chuck Espinoza after ISE by WhatsApp, talking about cameras and security on Chinese cameras, and are they watching us? Are they watching us? I don't know. But concerns have been raised about the CCTV camera system that is used, made by a company linked to the Chinese Communist Party, being used in the House of the Oireachtas. That's one of our state houses here in Ireland. A human rights group has sent a letter this weekend to highlight the qualms of the use of Hikvision surveillance cameras inside and outside Leinster House in Dublin. That is our government building. Hikvision has been banned in several Western jurisdictions and institutions because of security concerns. This week, Australia removed hundreds of the firm's cameras from its defence sites due to issues relating to national security. In November, the US government said it was banning telecommunications and video surveillance equipment from several prominent Chinese brands, including Hikvision, in an effort to protect its communications network. Security cameras made by Hikvision were also banned from British government buildings in November. In a letter to the Oireachtas Commission this weekend, along with its potential party leaders, the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, ICCL, raised concerns about the Chinese Communist Party being a controlling stakeholder in Hikvision, and it said its devices in Italy had sent data back to China. Wow. In addition to the risk that cameras inside the Oireachtas may be reporting back to China, security researchers regularly find new security vulnerabilities that allow hackers to seize full control of various types of Hikvision cameras, said the ICCL's technology fellow Dr. Chris Shurshak. Hackers can record what the cameras see and potentially what the cameras hear. ICCL has directly observed Hikvision cameras inside the Oireachtas buildings and about its grounds. The cameras are positioned at locations where they can capture videos of TDs, senators and staff and their private conversations. They may also capture what is said. The ICCL has also said that Hikvision has implicated in grave human rights violations against Muslims in the Chinese province of Zhejiang, claims that the company has previously denied. The council has asked whether a security risk assessment, human rights risk assessment and data protection impact assessment were carried out on the use of Hikvision cameras, whether the assessments will be made public and whether the Houses of the Oireachtas Commission will now urgently remove all Hikvision cameras and equipment. Minister for Justice Simon Harris told this week's Politics on RTE, our state broadcaster, that he was quite sure that the authorities in Leinster House take the security of the National Parliament very seriously. Hikvision has been contacted for comment and hasn't made any comments yet. But I was actually talking to Chuck Espinoza about this, and my thought is, like, surely you can see what's going through your servers. If you're a good IT security team, you would be able to see that it's sending data out to China. But apparently there's a lot more to it than that. And I think it's some topic that we'll have to revisit on All Things Techie podcast, where we talk about IT security and Hikvision cameras and are they transmitting? Are Chinese cameras dangerous to own? Are mobile phones with these type of cameras dangerous to own? Well, you say when it's linked to certain governments, agencies over in China, it does put that big question mark in place. Watch this space. We're going to come back to talking about those type of cameras and security in an upcoming episode of the All Things Techie podcast. Now, ChatGPT and Bing and browsers and AI, it's getting more and more popular, and people are hearing more and more about ChatGPT. And is it the future of AI giving us answers to things, and do we really need a browser in the future? Well, Google trialed its own AI chat box called Bard after success of ChatGPT. Google is releasing its own artificial intelligence chat box called Bard as it responds to the huge success of Microsoft-backed ChatGPT, which was also brought out on Bing, the browser. Does anyone use Bing? Okay, a lot of people use Google. I use Chrome. The company also adding the technology behind Bard to Google's search engine to enable complex queries such as whether the guitar or piano is easier to learn to be distilled into digestible answers. Bard will be released to special produced product testers on Monday. Well, Bard was produced to product testers on Monday and made more widely to the public in coming weeks. Like ChatGPT, Bard is powered by so-called large language model, in Google's case called Lambda, Large language AI models such as Lambda and the one behind ChatGPT are types of neural networks which mimic the underlying architecture of the brain and computer form. Actually, talking about Google, they had an amazing booth at ISE, and I had to follow up with some of the developers. Now, it wasn't Google themselves. Google have, support the whole development of different entrepreneurs, but one was two wine bottles rather, and all you had to do was pick up the wine bottle, and it had a small little disc on the bottom of the wine bottle, and knew as soon as you picked it up on the display in front of me, it told me what year the bottle was, what wine it was, where it came from, and I thought, wow, this is phenomenal. This is just like the opportunities of what you could actually do. Like, you could have that in a shop, customer comes in, wants to buy a bottle, picks it up, it's the little disc, and it tells you all about what the wine is, or any type of product for that nature. I thought it was fantastic. I did get the contact details. We hope to have that developer on All Things Techie in the not so distant future. But going back to Google and ChatGPT, ChatGPT has become a sensation after public release in November, creating all kinds of credible content from academic essays to poem and job applications. According to analysts, it's already reached 100 million users. But Alphabet shares dive by $144 billion, or $100 billion, after a factual error spouted by Google's AI chatbox during the week. An uninspired presentation on the chatbox called Bard, combined with longtime competitor Microsoft launching an attack on the dominant search engine, saw parent company Alphabet stock price plummet by 7.7%, which is the equivalent of $100 billion. In an advertisement for Bard, the bot is asked, what discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? A number of answers were given, including one where Bard responds with suggestions that the telescope was used to take its very first pictures of planets outside the Earth's solar system, or exoplanets. However, NASA has confirmed that the first pictures of exoplanets were taken by the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope in 2004. Now, they say that, okay, we were wrong. And the AI can be wrong. And they actually have an acronym for when these AI bots are wrong. But sure, the AI bots, ChatGPT or Bard, are scraping from the internet. So, like, even if we use smart devices at home and talk to Alexa or talk to Google, like they sometimes say, here is a website from, the BBC on how to cook. But we know where it's got that information from. Where AI with ChatGPT and with Bard, it's not telling where you got the information from. They're just scraping this information. There's no reference to it. It's as good as the new version of Wikipedia. So, but the plummet by 7.7%, and they're saying the reason being is because the AI bot that Google created, like Bard, wasn't ready. A Google spokesperson said the error highlighted the importance of rigorous testing process, something that we're kicking off this week in our Trusted Tester program. We'll combine external feedback with our own internal testing to make sure Bard's responses meet a high bar for quality, safety, and groundedness. That's hard to say. In a real world of information, the spokesperson said. The stock drop marked the steepest one-day decline since October, when an Alphabet earnings report disclosed a slowdown in digital ad revenue that rattled investors. Those concerns have been escalated since another report released last week revealed that Google's ad sales during the holiday season quarter fell from the same time in the previous year. And is this Microsoft's campaign for search engine dominance? Google's presentation for Bird contrasted the much more polished and well-reviewed showcase of Microsoft's plans to incorporate the already popular chatbox ChatGPT into its Bing search engine. By contrast, Microsoft shares were 0.5% after the announcement. It's not the end of the world for Google, and Microsoft is going to eat its lunch in Search Center for Financial Research and Analysts, CFRA analyst Angelo Zigno said. Google has been focusing on AI for the past 6 years, but has been cautious about how it uses technology in a search engine that holds roughly about 90% share in the internet market. So, is this Microsoft making a comeback? I don't know, listeners. It's hard to say. I'm not fond of the other search engines. I like using Google. I use Google, and it's hard hitting to think that Google lost that much. But on another basis, Google Maps search with live view is coming to Barcelona, Dublin, and Madrid. Last Wednesday, the company also showed off some of its latest search advancements. Last September, Google began rolling out Search with Live View, a feature within Maps that adds the search functionality to the app's augmented reality layer. At the time, the feature was only available if you found yourself in London, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Paris, or Tokyo. Google, during the week, announced it's bringing a search with live view to Barcelona, Dublin, and Madrid in the coming months. The company is also greatly expanding the availability of live view with indoor locations. Google said last Wednesday that it's bringing the functionality to more than 1,000 new airports, train stations, and malls across cities like Barcelona, London, Madrid, Paris, and Singapore. The expansion will take place over the next few months. Don't forget, if you want to get in contact with the All Things Techie podcast, you can tweet me, Justin Dawson, at Justin or Dawson. We also have a tweet handle for the show, which is at AV Tech Junkies. And don't forget, you can like and subscribe on all the places where you get your podcasts. And if you want to watch the visual of the program, you can visit www.allthingstech.ie for all the information. And we are also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and you can watch back to previous episodes, and we have a full playlist of what happened at ISE 2023. Now, there's been a lot of drone activity around Dublin Airport in the past week and a half, which even included flights being cancelled because, again, people were flying drones into the airport. A lot of questions about why are drones being allowed to be flied into the airport in Dublin. Now, I live quite close to Dublin Airport, and you know what? If you lived in a residential house nearby or even parked up nearby, you could easily fly a drone into Dublin Airport. It is illegal, of course, and it could interfere with flights that are taking off and landing, but it is quite accessible. But surely there is some technologies that can be put in place to stop drones from flying into airport areas. And usually, even when you buy a drone, like I know on my drone, the map features won't let me physically fly the drone into Dublin Airport surroundings. So I don't know how this guy actually did it, but a man has been charged with interfering with aviation operations after the drone was flown near Dublin Airport during the past few weeks. Flight operations were suspended for half an hour at Dublin Airport on the evening of Tuesday, the 24th of January. 2 flights were diverted following reports of drones flying into the area. It is illegal to fly drones within 5 kilometres of the airport. Yesterday, detectives based in Dublin Airport who have been investigating the incident arrested Eric Brills from Hollywell-Dale in Swords. That's just up the road from me in North County Dublin. The 50-year-old appeared before Dublin District Court this morning, charged under the Air Navigation and Transport Act with unlawfully and intentionally interfering with the operation of air navigation facilities at Dublin Airport by operating a drone in the 300-metre critical area, which is likely to interfere with safety of aircraft flight on the Knoll Road of Cloughlin, which is close to Dublin Airport, which is literally adjacent to Dublin Airport on the 24th of January. The offence carries a penalty up to life imprisonment with no provision in the legislation for suspended sentence or probation to be imposed. Garda Enda Ledwith said the accused made no reply to the charge. There was no objection to bail, but Mr. Brills was released on 5 conditions, including that he does not fly drones in the state, that he surrender his passport, and that he signs on weekly at its local Garda station. Judge Theresa Kennedy remanded him on bail. The court was told that Garda are waiting directions from the Director of Public Prosecutions on the case, and that Mr. Brills could face further charges. He is due to appear in court on the 14th of April. I really don't understand how he was able to actually fly the drone into the surroundings of Dublin Airport, and hopefully we will put protocols in place to stop those type of flights. This is the All Things Techie podcast, and finally on this podcast, 8 telltale signs that you are a tech dinosaur. And you know what? I actually say guilty on a couple of these. Number 1, you have a leatherette wallet for your smartphone. No, I'm not that bad. I actually have just a plastic case for my smartphone. But, I can say that members of my family have used leather cases for the smartphone. You have a polite telephone voice for Alexa. You got an Amazon Echo to replace your clapped out kitchen radio, and you use a posh voice. I don't want to call it posh. I use the default voice on Alexa. Using your forefinger instead of your thumb for texting. No, I'm not that bad. I do use both thumbs. But I have seen people that use their index finger while typing a text message. Using an ancient email address, just as you were getting over the annoyance of your IOL.ie. Wow, I remember Internet Online, IOL.ie, or oceanfree.net. That was another internet provider in Ireland. Email addresses have been cancelled over the past few years. And then people paying to use the email address aircom.net. And we talked about the fact that aircom.net was, they lost a load of customers' accounts at the end of 2022. And they weren't able to retrieve the information. Double or your old Hotmail address also seems to have faded away somewhere. Remember Hotmail? Yeah, Hotmail. Yeah, I remember Hotmail, which changed over to Outlook and Microsoft's new plans. But or Yahoo email as well. Does people still use Yahoo email? Do you have a Yahoo email address? You're old. You're a dinosaur. I had a Hotmail address for quite a while as well. When I was a student, until I got a Gmail account, and then of course my business accounts all ran through Gmail. I am a Google user. There's the plug there. You like to open a sparkling new Gmail address, but can't find anyone to switch to your aircom.net contacts over. That's the joke. You still have one of the first iPads. I actually do have one of the first iPads that my kids actually still use. Yeah, and it has a big crack in it. But you know what? If you can get YouTube Kids on it and it works, hey, it's good enough for them. Your collection of CD-ROMs. I don't have a collection of CD-ROMs. I do have a collection of CD music. And I recently decided that there's this magical thing called Spotify that you can actually stream any song that you want over and over again. And I thought, maybe it's about time that I got rid of my CDs. But see down here, listeners, down in the rack, I actually have a dual CD players in that rack. I don't know why. I need to get rid of them at some stage, but it's retro. But do you know what? One of my neighbours only recently asked me, could I convert some mini DVDs into digital format? Yes, as in cloud format. That she had videos of her kids when they were young, now turning into preteens and teenagers. And do you know what? I have, because I didn't dump it out, a DVD player, Blu-ray DVD player that can have the mini DVDs, and I will be able to convert them using a HDMI encoder. And I have family tapes, VHS tapes, that I will be converting in the not so distant future. So yes, this presenter is turning 40 this year in May. I'll give that as a plug in case you want to send me any presents. This presenter is turning 40 in May, and I do count myself as maybe a bit of a digital dinosaur because I still have to convert those VHS tapes. And surprisingly, listeners, I contacted a company in North County Dublin asking would they convert the VHS tapes for me because I thought I wouldn't be able to get the components. And there's a 6-month turnaround. So these places that convert VHS tapes and old tapes into digital format have a waiting list. So it is in demand. So there you go. I don't have a collection of CD-ROMs. I did have a collection of CDs. So refusal to throw out your 1995 stereo. It may be gathering dust in the attic, but any day now, you might power up your old hi-fi separate stereos. You spent about 1,000 punts on it, which is Irish pounds at the time. Damn it, so it's not going to be discarded. Besides, a friend read that you can connect a small smart speaker to it and use it as a high-powered Alexa. There's the joke. Your TV is in the corner. Well, you know what? My TV is in the corner because this is a converted attic and I don't have space to put it anywhere else. But it's a 65-inch and it is in the corner. But the joke is you have finally replaced your Philips 32-inch, that's no offense to Philips, 32-inch telly, but the Walker 40-inch model occupies the same weird angle in the corner of the sitting room, placed on that shiny wood or grey plastic TV console unit, which can't be thrown out because it houses your DVD player. No, my DVD player is in a box here, a storage box beside me here. The 65-inch Android TV that I won at LTSMG last year is in the corner simply because I don't have wall space in this attic to place it anywhere unless I put it behind me here, which wouldn't really work as a backdrop for the All Things Techie podcast. That is all for me, Justin Dawson. Thank you for tuning in to episode 68 of the All Things Techie podcast. We will be back weekly. We're going to be doing weekly programs from now on with All Things Techie. If you want to get in contact with the programs, please tweet me at AVTechJunkies is the show handle on Twitter. My own personal Twitter handle is at Justin or Dawson. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. From me, Justin Dawson, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to All Things Techie podcast, part of the Extreme Media Network. Follow us on Twitter at AVTechJunkies. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch our show on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/@Justin_or_Dawson. Previous episodes of our show can be found on our official site, www.allthingstech.ie. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie.